Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome. It's me, your boy Ryan, aka Clutch Sports Talk. I want to welcome you to a new segment that I'm going to be doing every Sunday night, getting you guys ready for the Sunday night football matchup. This is Clutch Sports Talk NFL Primetime. I got a special guest on the other side, but hey, sit back, relax. We're going to get you guys locked in and recap all of today's stories and events in and around the NFL. So, hey, enjoy, get your drinks, and let's go. Clutch Sports Talk NFL Primetime, presented by All Pro Sports Digital, the future in sports media content. Let's go. Hey, welcome in everybody again. Week 11 is already here. I'm going to be breaking down some of the games today that are actually most of all the games today that occurred. Some surprise winnings. Some teams that lost, man. It was a crazy day in NFL as usual, and I'm going to get you guys ready for the matchup tonight here in Las Vegas. The Las Vegas Raiders versus the Kansas City Chiefs, a rematch from a few weeks ago in which the Raiders actually defeated the Kansas City Chiefs. I forgot that score, but before I do all that, I want to introduce to you guys and he's also going to be helping me out tonight, the president and CEO of All Pro Sports Digital, Mr. Steven Bijou. What's up, man?
Man, what's going on? How you doing? Living life?
Pretty good.
Doing pretty good right
man.
now, man. What's up about yourself?
Hey, I can't complain. I got football. I got All Pro Sports Digital behind me. What can I ask for, man? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right, man. We're here to do something completely different, completely new. We're excited about the sports world. We're coming to do something that no one has ever done before in a way that no one has ever done it before. And I can't wait to get and show everyone what we've been working on.
Right, man. Absolutely. So, but thanks for dropping in, man. I know you got a lot going on running this, this whole All Pro Digital. It's going to be big. We got a lot of great talent on the lineup, but thanks for dropping by and getting everybody ready for tonight's matchup, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. Let's get
cool. Let's get it, man. Let's get it. That's what we're here to do. So the first game I want to talk about today is the Eagles and the Browns. That was one of the 10 o'clock games. Now we're going to be showing some highlights on some of the other games, but I'm going to get you guys through the other games. Me and Steven will get you guys ready. But today the Browns and the Eagles battled in Cleveland. It was wet and rainy weather. The Cleveland Browns did what they needed to do. They ran the ball. Nick Chubb rushed for over 114 yards, if I'm not mistaken. Carson Wentz looked pretty, pedestrian again. A few turnovers there. Steven, were you able to check out that game? What were your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, man, I seen some of it. I think Cleveland has a lot of potential. They have a lot to finally get out of their losing ways and to sip into that really winning record. Baker Mayfield, I think, he's starting to come a couple years now with his belt as a leading quarterback of the Browns. He's got some exciting weapons and some really good defense. I think it all just comes to the leader, head coach that have to lead them into the right direction. And, I've seen a lot of talk about Jim Harbaugh going down there to Cleveland, leaving where he's at in Michigan. And I think that might be something perfect because I know he's someone that won't stand up for anything. It's anything less than what he expects.
No, I absolutely agree with that, man. Do you think the Browns extend him at the end of the year?
I don't know. I really think it's with Jim Harbaugh. He's pretty cut his way. And so if he's looking for something in the NFL, that might be possible, considering all the talent they have now, maybe. But I know it all depends on his mood, man. That's the crazy thing. You never know what to expect with that guy.
Oh, that's true. Hey, if you're in the room right now, please be sure to drop a comment. Let me know what you guys are thinking out there. Anything you guys want to hear us talk about specifically about the Week 11's matchup. I know my Cowboys, they did the big thing today. They went into Minnesota and defeated the Vikings, but I'll talk about that later. But back to the Cleveland and Philly game. Carson Wentz, to me, man, he's he's an enigma. One day he'll look really good, but then more often than not, at least this season, he is looking pretty pedestrian. Like I said, again, 2 turnovers. He has a problem with holding on to the football instead of just throwing the ball away and living for the next down. So I feel like Philly is definitely in a conundrum. I think that they gave him a lot of money recently. He stayed healthy this year, but I don't know if he's going to be the future in Philly. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think after this contract is up, they'll start to look at some possibilities. I mean, they had Nick Foles there. He brought them to a championship, and
Right.
that's the only championship that they had in a while. And I guess a lot of people thought that it would be Carson Wentz, but it just didn't turn out that way. And so I think they'll either look to the draft or maybe look to even see who will be available in free agency.
Right. Well, Philly's
But I really
absolutely.
don't think I
Go ahead.
personally. Yeah, when I went to school at Sam Houston State, and I seen this guy run amok down there in the FCS, but the FBS is something completely different. The NFL is something completely
Right.
different, and up to this point, we've yet to see him kind of play out.
Right. No, man. Well, Philly definitely has some thinking to do, especially going into this offseason, but we'll just have to see. So we're going to move on to the next game of topic here. The Washington football team defeated the Cincinnati Bengals today by the score of 20-9. Obviously, this was some horrendous news coming out of this game today. Joe Burrow suffered I think it was a left torn ACL. He is done for the season, which is sad because he was actually playing really good football. Even after he left the game, he still was the leading passer. He completed 22 for 34, 203 yards, and 1 touchdown. The game started in their favor, but after he kind of went down, I think Washington football team just kind of took over from there, and they were able to just pick up that W, man. But do you hear anything else about Joe Burrow out there, man? Anything that you've seen across social media or anything like that, Steven?
No news yet, man. But I say I feel bad for the guy. I mean, he
Yeah.
traveled from college, and now he went to LSU, did an outstanding job, and now he's in the NFL. Honestly, Cincinnati is probably the worst place he could have ended up to be the quarterback. He's
Right.
probably not going to pan out until he leaves, but unfortunately, they have at least 5 to 6 years of controlling him.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, Cincinnati, man, they don't have an offensive line. We knew that going into the season. And then you play the Washington football team, who has probably one of the best defensive lines in all of football. Considering their record, they get after the quarterback. That's what they do for sure. That we know that for a fact. And unfortunately, it kind of took fruition today. And prayers out to him and Joe Burrow, man. I think he had a nice little bright light. But hopefully he can recover. And torn ACLs, man, that can kind of bother a quarterback, especially hanging around in that pocket, man. But prayers out to him, man, Joe Burrow, and hopefully he can get back right, man. I just hope he can turn things around and try to take that franchise to the next level. Hopefully, we'll have to wait and see. So another interesting game. Another interesting game was the Carolina Panthers versus the Detroit Lions. Teddy Bridgewater did not start today. PJ Walker, the XFL star, actually took over the reins today and actually had a nice, decent game. He threw for 1 touchdown, 258 yards. He was 24 for 34. Not bad for an XFL star. They ended up blanking the Lions, who are atrocious. I think it's time to move off of Matt Patricia. He's not getting the job done there. The Panthers still find a way to win, and they improved to 4-7, even without Teddy Bridgewater and Christian McCaffrey. Mike Davis rushed for 64 yards, 1 touchdown, and DJ Moore led all receivers with 7 receptions and 127 yards. But Steven, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, man, some of them, I really feel bad for the Detroit Lions. You got to wonder, is it Matt Patricia or is it Matt Stafford? I think if you ask me, both of the Mats need to be out of there. They need a complete overhaul. It's been like this for too long. You see them peak and they get into the first round of the playoffs every now and then that's the highest as they've ever been. So I think that it's going to take just a control of identity, a control of weapons, everything in that system. Unfortunately, they have a lot of great teams in the NFC North. So it's going to take a lot for them to come up and participate and compete.
Right. And the funny thing about Matt Patricia, he's supposed to be the defense guru, I guess. He was the coordinator for the Patriots for quite some time. But since he's been in Detroit, their defenses have really been atrocious and very predictable from what I understand, especially watching a lot of film with them. They have a lot of mistakes. I think I read a stat the other day. They played on defense. Their team, their defensive unit, has played with 10 men on the field, double digits throughout the season. So double digits, there have been several occasions that they've only had, 10 men on the field. Sorry, not 11, to 10 men, not double digits, but 10 men on the field. So, if you're not playing with all 11, guess what? You're going to get beaten a lot of situations.
And that's sad because their head coach was a defensive specialist.
Right.
And especially when you think about coming from New England, everybody holds them to a higher standard. But I think that's really because it's a lot of less competition in the AFC. Well, now it's starting to, grow up and people are starting to get those picks and get established. But, in the times of Tom Brady, when he was with the Patriots, it was really like Tom Brady, the Patriots, and maybe like 3 or 4 teams. So if we're being honest, but now we're putting these guys in the NFC where all of the talent is, where all of the main stars of the NFL are, and you're seeing that they're not really able to hold up to what they thought they were able to do in New England.
Right. And right now, only Brian Flores is the only one right now who's actually having some type of success, but we'll have to wait and see on him. But I will get to that game here in just a minute. But yeah, Detroit Lions fans, sorry, man, you guys, you're going to be in the market for a new coach and possibly a new quarterback, because I think the Matthew Stafford era is officially done.
I have a question.
Sure.
For you. So, if you think Matthew Stafford would end up in the Indianapolis Colts, because I think possibly that the quarterback down there is done. He signed for 1 year just to see what it would be like, and I don't know, man. I don't know what it's going to be like, what it's going to end up for him. So I think
my thing on the Colts is that I think they're a quarterback away of actually being really, really elite. But is Matthew Stafford the guy? I don't know. But they keep winning, so they won't be in a position to draft high for a good quarterback. Maybe Matthew Stafford can maybe bridge that gap until maybe they can find someone. But I think Matthew Stafford is pretty good. I mean, he's been in the league, 10 years at least now. So
something
but granted,
since
it's been with the Lions. Yeah, so right. So he came in there with Mark Sanchez, and Mark Sanchez is well out the league now, butt fumble. So is he a good quarterback? I think he is. I know his stats are a little padded because of the games that they've had to come back in, but I'm not saying he's done in the NFL. I think they just need to move on from him and have an amicable, split, because it's just not working. It's done. It's really over there, and they just need to move on from him. And I think he needs to move on as well. So, but we'll have to wait and see on that. This was an interesting game. A lot of people had this game as a trap game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They traveled down to Jacksonville. It was Juju Smith's birthday today. I don't know why that's important. Maybe because I'm a USC fan. But anyway, they ended up winning the game 27-3. No trap game for them. A lot of people thought they were in a position to maybe lose this game because they're looking forward possibly to the Thanksgiving Day matchup against the Baltimore Ravens, Thanksgiving Day night. But no problems there. Ben Roethlisberger looked really good, 32 for 46, 2 touchdowns, 267 yards. James Conner did what he needed to do, rush for 89 yards. And Deontay Johnson, the little speedster guy, 12 receptions, 111 yards. And the Pittsburgh Steelers defense looked really good as they roll past the Jacksonville Jaguars. Any thoughts on that one, Steve?
Here's my question, man. I have to wonder to you, what exactly is going to be like? Because yes, every now and then in the AFC, you have one of these teams that just seem to be like they're going to go undefeated. But you have to look out the layout, like the teams that they've laid down, the ones that are in front of them. Is there really a lot of competition there? I'm not going to take anything away from them because you have to go do it, right? But I can't fall into the trap just yet. Yes, okay, they're halfway through the season, they're undefeated. That's great. Congratulations. Teams go and then come 8-8, just like that. Like I've seen it. So I don't think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be it. I think Ben Roethlisberger is happy to be back, so he's just slinging it every kind of which way. He has a lot of new toys to play with. But I wouldn't count on him to be the number one guy in the AFC just yet.
Right. Well, no, I absolutely agree. I think their schedule has been, I wouldn't say soft, but they've definitely benefited from that. And they actually haven't played really good football. A lot of those games, they've started slow. Even in this game, if you watched it, they started somewhat slow, but then once they got it clicking, they'll be okay. But one thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers is that they usually play down to the level of their competition. I'm assuming that's the case this year. but we'll see next week because that's a big matchup, even though the Baltimore Ravens lost, and we'll get to that game here shortly. That's still a big game. It's going to be basically who wins that game will win out the division and will probably be the second seed in all of the because I wouldn't say second seed because if they stay undefeated, they'll be the first seed. But I think they may lose. But anyway, we'll break that down later on. But Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, you got to give them credit. They are 10-0 now. You can only play who's in front of you, and that's what they're doing, and they're finding ways to win.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's see here. Let's go over this game. This one just wrapped up. Actually, this one wrapped up a few minutes ago. The Miami Dolphins laid an egg. They traveled to Denver, and they lost 20-13. Tua did what he normally did. He does. He didn't really look all that impressive in my estimation. The defense really didn't play that well. Let's see the stats for Tua. Let's see what I got here. I mean, he only attempted 18 passes for 117 yards. I mean, that's not going to get it done. I mean, to me, it's not going to get it done. But I get what the Miami Dolphins are doing. They play really good defense, and so they're basically asking him not to make any mistakes, and they're just going to play complementary football. But I think in the NFL, you have to have a dynamic quarterback at some point and some time to win games kind of like this.
Right. I mean, depending on how your game is laid out, right? That might be for the times. I think for Tua,
I'm sorry, Steven. I stand corrected. He actually got pulled, and he ended up only throwing for 83 yards.
I don't think you have him. Right. Can you say that?
I said he actually got pulled from the game, and he ended up only throwing for 83 yards.
Yeah, I mean, is that his fault or is that the offensive line's fault? Like, that's the questions that you have to ask here. You put him, I guess you would put him in because to protect him, you would put in which Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's great as a backup. He's one of the best backups in the league. For that, I feel like there should be some kind of backup Hall of Fame. But I don't think that he's going to save the team. I don't think that that's the answer. I think the O-line needs work, and I definitely think you need more offensive weapons for Tua to work with because that's what he's used to coming from Alabama. He had kind of the best of the best at his disposal at all times. So we're going to find out real soon within the next 2 years. Is he really an offensive weapon, or is he just someone who can get the job done if he has the right tools?
Well, I think right now this is I believe he was his fourth or fifth start. He's basically been a game manager for the most part. I don't think he's cracked 200 yards yet in an NFL game. His first game out against the Rams, the defense and the special teams took care of it for him. I think right now he's in that category as a game manager. I don't know if I think they got some pretty decent weapons. They got a tight end in Gesicki. They have Devontae Parker. Their offensive line is pretty stout. I think right now Miami is still trying to maybe figure out what they really have in Tua. That's probably why they started him now and over Fitzpatrick, because they need to know moving forward, do they really have it in him, or does he have it in him to take them to the next level? So he's a wait and see type of scenario. But today losing to Denver is kind of not a good thing. Denver is not a good football team whatsoever. And I know it's tough playing in Denver with the whole altitude situation, but I think to only throw for 89 yards on 20 attempts and you get pulled, it's not a good look. And I think they're relying on their defense too much to win the game. So, but that's just my thoughts on that one.
I think he'll develop. You know what I mean? I think there's a couple of quarterbacks out there they're mostly young,
Right. And I think he definitely has some talent. Like if you guys checked out my film session I did on him last week, he definitely has capabilities and characteristics to be a really great quarterback. We just have to wait and see on him. He doesn't come out and just wow you automatically like guys like Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert. So that's my concern with him a little bit. But those guys are playing in different systems as well. So like I said, we have to just wait and see what happens with him. The next game moving on is the Patriots and the Texans. This one was kind of deceiving. The Patriots thought they were favorite to win the game after a great win against the Baltimore Ravens last week. But they go down to Houston and they kind of lay an egg. They made it close towards the end, but they ended up falling to Deshaun Watson and the Texans 20-27. Cam Newton threw for 365 yards, amazingly enough, and one touchdown. But Deshaun Watson and the Texans just proved to be a little bit too much in the end. What are your thoughts on the Patriots and the Texans?
I think that the Cam Newton experiment in Cleveland is something that can work, but I don't think that's his right coach. I don't think they fit together, right? Like
Right. They don't
a
mesh
lot of
well
people
enough.
say that Belichick can take anybody and you know form them to his will, and they just gotta
Right.
be listen to him and do whatever he says and kind of go out there and play their game. But I'm not sure if that's the case for Cam. I think Cam, I can see him moving when that's done. It's not like he has a
Right.
max contract or
Nice.
anything
One
like
year deal.
that.
Deal.
Yeah, he can leave and find a team that really fits to his strengths. When he was in Carolina, some of his top years, we saw what he could really do. Right now,
Right.
it kind of seems like he's banged up. And for the first time in God knows how long, the Patriots won't be in the playoffs. And
Right.
that's crazy. Now on the other side of things, you look at the Texans. I think they need a lot of help. I'm glad that they got rid of Bill O'Brien.
Right.
Deshaun Watson, I know he's like super upset behind his wide receivers. He
Right.
can't do everything on his own, but I think it's time to go in a different direction.
No, you're
Being in the
absolutely right.
direction that they're in now is going to lay them out, and they're going to stay in the same stretch. I mean, they've been here since they came into the league in
Right.
2002. You know what I mean?
Right.
They've been pretty much just laying eggs after eggs, and they've yet to claim their first championship. And I know it takes a while, but you've had stud quarterbacks. You've had guys that, and now especially now, Deshaun Watson is probably one of the top 10 quarterbacks, depending on what
Right.
you're grading them on, and
Right.
he
What you
doesn't have
like.
any help. Yeah, I
No,
mean he doesn't have any
absolutely.
help.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I was always, especially going into this year, I always told people they should just need to trade JJ Watt and get assets and draft picks. I mean, JJ Watt, God bless him. He's a great defensive end, but you're not really winning a lot with him and you're paying him a lot of money. Why not send him to a team where he can actually maybe win and you get something in return? Because it's kind of like you keeping him there, but you're not going to do anything. I mean, even next year, what do they have to look forward to in Houston other than Deshaun Watson trying to make every play imaginable? So I think the Texans definitely need some type of boost, especially in the draft, maybe a free agent somewhere. But I mean, the whole DeAndre Hopkins deal, that was a terrible trade by Bill O'Brien. And you see what he's doing for Arizona right now. I mean, he's balling out, absolutely. So,
Absolutely.
but the next game I want to get into, I'm leaving two games specifically to break down because I thought these were the two most pivotal games. But before I do that, I want to talk about the Jets and the Chargers. Not a lot, but Chargers finally get a win. They don't blow a lead, and they almost did because the Jets actually came back and made this game really respectable. The Chargers end up winning 34-28. Justin Herbert again threw for 66 yards, and 3 touchdowns on 49 attempts. I mean, he's not looking like a rookie anymore. In my opinion, I think he's probably the offensive rookie of the year with what he's been able to do, basically playing all these games. And the Jets they're 0-10, still can't get that win, and they look like they're going to be in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. What are your thoughts on the Jets?
Oh man. Oh, that's a question because
Right.
you have Trevor Lawrence who's coming out, who should come out next year, and
Yep. Justin Fields
you
too.
gotta wonder, is it really their quarterback that they have now, right? Like, is it really there, or is it really just like a coaching problem, a overall systemic
Right.
problem that the Jets have? Because
Right.
man, they haven't won anything since
No.
Super Bowl III, and
Yeah. Joe
that's a
Namath.
problem, And then you look at the
Right.
Chargers, right, and you see their situation now. I think that their quarterback is made of everything that he needs to be made of, but I think for some reason it's not clicking all the way.
Right. I
They
agree.
they they need something else around him. They have a bunch of old pieces. They need to start getting some new things in there and start creating a new wave for the Chargers in LA.
Right.
Or they're going to be sitting behind the Rams. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. So I think they could come out and really start, as Justin Herbert starts getting comfortable and knowing he's the number one every year and getting those guys behind him. I just hate to see him become another Phillip Rivers because I think he's more than that.
I think so too. I definitely think my take on the Chargers is that they need to probably get rid of Anthony Lynn. Like I said, they almost blew this game again, and they were up quite considerably, and they almost blew it again. Justin Herbert is a superstar in this league, ready to happen. I think they need to get someone in there that can actually really cultivate him even more. They have really good talent in San Diego. Keenan Allen is one of the most underrated receivers in all the NFL. Their defensive line is pretty stout. Their offensive line is okay. And then with the Jets, Sam Darnold to me is not a bad quarterback. I think he's just in a bad situation. I think they'll be able to move off of him, get Trevor Lawrence, and maybe just Sam Darnold can go somewhere and start and be an actual productive quarterback in the NFL. But the Jets fall to 0-10, and it's not looking good for them the rest of the way. They may get the number one pick. They might go 0-16. I don't know the rest of their schedule, but
bro, I wouldn't try to win. I wouldn't try to win the rest of the year.
No, I wouldn't either.
Done at this point. It's
I
done.
wouldn't either.
I mean, even if it's for respect and none of that, like, dude, it's done. You're already out of the playoffs. If you win the rest of the game, you'll be 6-10. It doesn't matter. You've already lost. So,
so moving on, this game very important to me because the Dallas Cowboys traveled to US Bank Stadium and defeat the hot Minnesota Vikings in one of the weirdest games I've ever seen.
Here we go.
Really tough in the first half. Their defense was actually pretty good, and the Dallas defense has been a weak spot all year, and they were able to slow them down in the first half. I think they were up going into halftime. Dalvin Cook still did rush for a 1 touchdown and 115 yards. Kirk Cousins did pass for 3 touchdowns and 314 yards, but somehow the Dallas Cowboys did their thing, man, and they looked okay. But I think for them, they need to just be cool and stop winning all these games because I need them to get a good draft pick and not be picking 15th or
20th. Unfortunately for you, the Dallas Cowboys are in the division that they're in, and they can really realistically get into the playoffs at like 7-9, bro. Like that's that's very realistic for them to be able to do that. So I wouldn't just count them out yet until they absolutely lose. There's not a team in there that's organized. The New York Giants, they're getting their stuff together. The team that shouldn't be named doesn't even have a team. They try, they come and they make things look good. Sometimes they lose. And then you got the Philadelphia Eagles, which I don't know what they're doing. At this point, I really don't know what they're doing. I don't know. You should be better and more well placed together than you are now.
Right.
And at this point, I'm starting to believe that Carson Wentz is in it. And then, you got your Cowboys, who every year it seems like that division should be a lot better than what they are. And for whatever reason, I think once – I tell you what, though, man, I think once Washington gets everything together, they'll be dangerous because they got Ron Rivera down there. They got they got a defense. They can get that offense together. I think they'll be very dangerous. But right now, man, it's kind of like, bro, you can realistically go 6-10 and make the playoffs. Like, I've never heard of that.
And it's funny because it's week 11 and they finally got their 3rd win. So
and they're not out of it, bro.
Nope. And Andy Dalton actually looked pretty good today. He threw for 203 yards and 3 touchdowns. Zeke finally broke the 100-yard barrier. He didn't get any touchdowns today, but he did carry the ball for 21 times. So I think a lot of people, and I was one of them. I think that Zeke is a very vital part of the Dallas Cowboys offense, but if you watch NFL, you got to be able to throw the ball in order to win football games. And today, the Red Rifle, he did his thing. And did you see that catch by CeeDee Lamb earlier today, man? Oh man, what an amazing catch that he had. He's definitely going to be a superstar in this league. Mark my words, especially when Dak gets back, because I'm pro Dak. That's my dude. But Cowboys, congrats to them today. Go ahead.
I want to believe that they can pull it together, right? Like they have too many good pieces, and their division is in shambles. There's no reason the Cowboys shouldn't be top of that division every year.
Right.
I mean, it's absolutely right. There's no reason.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And they always have really good talent on paper, but I look at the other side, the Minnesota Vikings, they were streaking in the right direction. A lot of people had them winning this game easily. I think they were -7 favorites, and to lose by 3 at home. That's kind of a blow to them, especially because, like I said, they were heavily favored to win this game. I don't know what happens to them now. Does Mike Zimmer, continue to stay there? I know they started off really slow, and when they won like their last 3 in a row or something like that. But I don't know who they have next, but Minnesota Vikings is funny because they're kind of like the Cowboys. They have really good talent, offense and defensive side of the ball, and they can't even get it done too. I think they're like the mirror image of the Dallas Cowboys, except for the fact that the Cowboys get a little bit more publicity because they're the Dallas Cowboys. So, but other than that, we're gonna keep moving on. I'm saving one. I got 2 more games to go through, but I'm saving one especially for you, Steve. And I know you're gonna enjoy that one. But before I do that, the next game I want to go over is the Packers and Colts. This one was kind of a slugfest. I had the Packers winning the game. They were looking good in the beginning, but in the end, they weren't able to really just get the job done. They fall 34-31 in Indianapolis. Aaron Rodgers threw for 311. Philip Rivers actually looked really good himself. I believe he threw for 3 touchdowns as well. They got their running game going in the second half, and they just were they out-physical Green Bay, which is Green Bay's actual weakness. So both teams are now 7-3. The Colts improved themselves. So, but what are your thoughts on the Colts actually? Oh, it looks like we lost Steven. I know we had some connection issues, but anyway, my thoughts on the Colts. Excuse me, I said Cleveland on the Colts. They're actually a quarterback away from being really, really good. Their defense is solid. Their offensive line is probably one of the best offensive line in all of the NFL, probably compared to the Saints. And today they got a really good win against a good NFC team in the Green Bay Packers, who a lot of people don't really like. And I get it. There's reason for that. But it is what it is. Green Bay will always be pretty solid because they have Aaron Rodgers, and he's able to make a lot out of nothing. So I don't know what's going to happen with them moving forward. Right now in the NFC, it's Tampa and the Saints. That's it. Those are the 2 teams, Tampa and the Saints, and they happen to be both in the same division. So moving along, I want to talk about the Titans and the Baltimore Ravens, which I'm going to queue up some highlights for you today from that game as we go along here. Just give me 1 second. All right. So this game was a really good game. It was a very tough, hard-fought, competitive game. It ended up going into overtime. You see Des Bryant there, his first NFL action or catch. He got his first NFL catch since 2017 here. Tennessee got the running game going in the second half. Guys like Corey Davis, A.J. Brown got going also in the second half. Again, Baltimore, both quarterbacks were a mirror image of each other. Really didn't do a lot. Tannehill did what he needed to do. He made plays when he had to. Same thing for Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson just didn't get enough help in the end. My biggest concern with Lamar Jackson is that he still is not a dynamic thrower. He's just not a dynamic thrower, and that's really hurting him. It's really hurting him just because of the fact that teams now, they know how to beat him. Now, he can run around and do whatever he needs to do, but when they force him to throw, they can't beat him. And today, a big concern, and I told everyone this going in the morning, that the Baltimore Ravens were missing 2 key defensive linemen, Calais Campbell and Washington, and Derrick Henry was able to rush for over 100 yards. And they can't stop the run, especially when you play a team like the Tennessee Titans. You're going to be in a whole world of hurt. And that's exactly what happened today for them. They just weren't able to stop the run. They weren't able to get the stops that they needed to get, and they ended up falling again in overtime to the Baltimore Ravens. So, cool shout out to Tennessee Titans. Really, it's only 2 teams in the AFC that are really going to be in contention. It's going to be Pittsburgh and Kansas City, who we'll see later on tonight, and which I'll break down that game before that gets started in under 15 minutes or so. I'll get you guys locked and ready for that game. But Baltimore Ravens, it is what it is. So if you're watching live right now, make sure you leave a comment. Let me know what you guys were thinking, what you guys thought of today's action. I appreciate that. Again, this is Clutch Sports Talk NFL Prime Edition, brought to you by All Pro Digital, the future in sports media content. I had Steven Bijou on earlier, but we lost him due to some connective issues. So hopefully he'll be able to rejoin. If not, we're just going to keep on pressing. And this was the game I actually wanted to go over with him because he is a Saints fan, and I'm going to queue up some highlights for you guys on that one as well. This one was an interesting game. It was a very interesting game. The Saints, they're playing without Drew Brees. They played out with Taysom Hill, got the actual start. over the Atlanta Falcons, which surprised a lot of people, including myself. I thought Jameis Winston was going to be the guy. So here's some highlights from that game today. Taysom Hill actually did a really good job. He threw for over 200 yards. I don't think he threw for any touchdown passes, but I know he rushed for two passes. Excuse me. Losing my tongue here. Get some water. But you see from the highlights, this game started really kind of choppy a little bit, but then they got it going. Atlanta plays the Saints pretty well, but today just wasn't their day. I don't think they really could game plan for Taysom Hill. I don't think they knew what he can really do as a starting quarterback. The Saints defense played tremendous once again. They're really playing hard behind that defense, and they're going to have to. Excuse me. Because that's how they're going to end up winning a lot of these games. Now, Drew Brees is out at least for 3 weeks. So they play Atlanta today. They won. They got Denver next week, and then they go to Atlanta. So by then, Taysom Hill will probably still be the starter until Drew Brees comes back after 4 weeks. And maybe Atlanta will have a better game plan because Atlanta had been playing really good football up until the loss today. But Taysom Hill, man, we saw today why Sean Payton had all the confidence in him. Now, there were a lot of skeptics. It didn't look good early in the first. You saw that sack there in the beginning. But once he got in the flow of games, one thing that I saw, and one of the commentators mentioned that Taysom Hill said that he actually was looking forward to the start because usually in a game he gets like 5 or 6 plays a game and he has to make them all work. But today he's getting 30 snaps. He has every opportunity to make a really good play throughout the game. And that's what they're able to do. And they ran behind, Alvin Kamara here. They got really creative on some of the things right here. There's a touchdown run for you there that he had. I mean, Latavius Murray got wild. I mean, the Saints are looking really good right now. And I think that they probably should be the best team in the NFC. I mean, right now they got Tampa Bay's beat twice. So we'll just have to wait and see. But Taysom Hill definitely played a really good game. Jameis Winston, he's just going to have to keep sitting on the bench. But look at this. I mean, this is why you got him in here. So he can make plays like this. I mean, a lot of guys are not doing that. So, but I wish Steven was here. We could have went over that. But again, if you're in here, leave a comment, man. Appreciate the support. Like I said, this is NFL Primetime with me, Clutch Sports Talk. We're just recapping all of the games that happened today and getting you ready for the Kansas City Chiefs and Las Vegas Raiders, which is happening right down the street for me. So we're about almost 40 minutes into the show, and we're going to be wrapping it up here soon. So like I just said, let's get into it. Let's talk about the Raiders and the Chiefs game. So we all know that the Raiders beat the Chiefs a few weeks ago in a pretty stunning manner. They ended up going to Kansas City and beating them quite handily. I mean, that's the only loss that the Chiefs have had all season. And tonight, they hope to get a little get back tonight. The Raiders, I will say, are playing really good football. John Gruden has done a great job of taking his old, traditional concepts and blending it in with a lot of new concepts today, especially with like the jet streams and the middle screens and using Darren Waller and Henry Ruggs out there. Derek Carr is having a really fantastic season. He's probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks we have in the NFL because you don't really hear a lot about him. They will make the playoffs today, I believe. A lot of people have them winning tonight. I think Kansas City will get them back. Patrick Mahomes will be too much. But the key to the game is going to be the Las Vegas Raiders defense. Can they hold up to Patrick Mahomes? They did a fantastic job the first time around. Maybe the Chiefs fell asleep at the wheel, didn't really respect them. But I guarantee you they have the Kansas City Chiefs respect tonight going into this game. It's going to be a primetime game. I'm looking forward to it. We're about, almost 12 minutes before this game starts. For those of you who are in the live right now, I appreciate it. Man, drop a comment, man. Let me know what you guys think, man. Like I said, again, this is Clutch Sports Talk NFL Prime with me, Ryan Flowers, produced and presented to you by All Pro Digital Sports, the future in sports media content. I can't say that enough. Make sure you subscribe to us at All Pro Digital and Clutch Sports Talk on YouTube page. Other than that, but I mean, hey, the Raiders, but I guess the Chiefs will get the win tonight. I feel like it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a high scoring game, maybe 31-35. The Chiefs will get the win. I'm not hating on the Raiders. I gave them credit just a few seconds ago. I think they're doing really good. They're 6-3 right now. If I'm not mistaken. Their defense is where they're gonna have to hang their hats on. Then now they do get 7 guys back who were, I believe, on injured reserve, some of it due to injuries, some of it due to COVID. I know Jonathan Abrams is one of those guys who was on the COVID list. He is definitely a playmaker on the defensive side. He was part of that victory in Kansas City a few weeks ago. and hopefully that they'll be able to do something today and get that win. But I feel like Patrick Mahomes will be ready to go. Andy Reid will be ready to go. And we'll just have to wait and see. But other than that, man, we are at the 40-minute mark. We are about 10 minutes away from the Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, Kansas City Chiefs. Other than that, that's all I got for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this new segment. We're gonna be doing this every Sunday until the season's up. Like I said, my name is Ryan Flowers, aka Clutch Sports Talk. You can see me pretty much on Mondays. I do my film session, and on Wednesdays I have my my podcast or my live show that I'm doing now that I'm streaming for you guys on YouTube and Facebook. We basically talk about everything sports related, college, NFL, NBA, MLB, and we're looking to, do a lot of big things moving forward. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you hit up Instagram and go to All Pro Digital, search us up there, as well as the YouTube page as well. You can also find me on Instagram at clutch.sports.talk. Again, you can see me on Mondays. I don't live stream that. That's a recorded my film sessions, but I'm not sure who I'm going to do a film session on yet. I'm going to wait to see what happens tonight. I have some ideas on who I might do a film session on. But if you have any thoughts or ideas, let me know now in my comments or hit me up, DM me. Let me know where you guys can get at me. Other than that, man, this has been fun. I love it. I appreciate it. Hope you guys got some good information for those of you who weren't probably able to watch any of the NFL games today. Hopefully I was able to bring a little bit of insight to you guys today. But other than that, man, it was a great time. You guys make sure you pull up a seat and get ready to watch Sunday Night Football with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. This is your host, me, Ryan Flowers, a.k.a. Clutch Sports Talk, NFL Primetime Edition. Never settle till the work is done. Let's go. This was Clutch Sports Talk, NFL Primetime, presented by All Pro Digital Sports, the future in sports media content. Look us up on YouTube under All Pro Digital. Also search Clutch Sports Talk. And remember, never sell till the work is done. Peace out.